Hi, I'm Tab Pig with Vettec, and you're watching 2 Minutes with Tab. We're still here in Springtown, the working cow ranch, and what the second thing we're talking about, the second reason to shoe your horse is protection. Protection from rocks, concrete. Your horse might be a little ouchy on hard surface. That foot needs a little bit of protection. In this part of the country, it's real rocky. These guys are going out and working their cattle. They generally will use a wide web shoe with a pour-in or a pad, plastic or leather pad. When I say a wide web shoe, this would be considered a wide web shoe. It's a little wider than your normal keg shoe, and it's going to protect that outer edge or the inner edge of the white line, just to give that little bit more protection. This is a leather pad. I like a leather pad because it allows that foot to dry out. A foot gets hydrated or oversaturated under a plastic pad. Plastic pads are good. They're more economical than a leather, but they hold that moisture in that foot. The leather will actually allow that foot to dry out and stay at a more consistent moisture level. This is a snowball or a snow pad. Down here in Texas, we don't use these. This one had to come up from up north, come down here from up north. And what this is we're protecting these feet from that snowball on the bottom of the foot. That'll cause a horse to get really sore. So what this pad does is the snow packs up in there, this pad pops it right back out again. Then there's other pad materials. This is a Vettec product. It's Equipack. It goes in liquid, it sets up in 30 seconds. The really good part about this pad is it bonds to the foot. It fills all the voids. You can see the commissures here where your bars are at. There's your frog and your sole. So this is a really neat protective pad, and it's also a support material. So we're actually helping to support that bone column with these pads. There are several different materials on the market, from natural materials like pine tar and oakum to plumber silicone. I like a material that doesn't have acids in it, that bonds to the foot. And we're going to look at some feet here in a little bit when we pull these pads off, and I'm going to show you the difference between some of these different materials on the bottom of the foot. So we talked about different pads and how they go on the feet. It's almost as important about what you put between the foot and the pad for protection. A lot of chemicals and materials that you're going to put in there, they do a good job of stopping a little bit of migration of sand and fluids, liquid, urine from getting up in there. It's ideal to stop all that migration. We put these pads on a couple of weeks ago. We're going to pull them off just to see what kind of consistency the foot and sole has underneath these pads. Clenches are too tight, I can't cut them, so we'll just pull the pad. And this is a leather pad. And you can see that we had a little bit of migration. This horse is really flat-soled. And when we put the pad in, we had to drill a hole right here. We couldn't get our tip for our packing material to come in this way. So we got a good solid pour on this side, but we missed this side. It's always a good idea, and I didn't think about it till after the fact, we should have put another hole over here, that when the pad material came out this hole, we knew we had the whole bottom of that foot filled. This side of the foot's really dry. This one's got a real nice moisture content. It'll be easy to knife this sole out on this side. This one, we hadn't had rain up here in about 2 months, so our feet are extremely hard and extremely dry. This will knife out really nice. This one we're going to have to really work to get it taken out. So that's what it's going to look like underneath the pad. What we did is we put leather on one side, plastic on the other, just to see what the consistency of the foot was going to be. So you can see the silicone has left us a real wet, not a good environment for this foot. That's what we get. The other side, it was bonded to the sole, so we didn't get that migration of urine up in here. So it's, you can see how wet and cheesy that foot is. This is not sole, that's the silicone. But this foot's extremely wet, wetter than I would want in this environment, because what we're looking for is protection. And a dry foot is a well-protected foot. A soft, mushy foot like this is not a good scenario in a dry environment. Okay, now we're going to talk about the liquid pour-in pads. What this is a Vettec product. This is EquiPack. And what we've done, this horse needed a little bit more support. So we poured her using a foam board, brought her to ground level. So this is our EquiPack material, and I'm going to attempt to get this out of the foot to show you what kind of consistency we've got under here. You can see we pulled a little bit of the sole out right here, but we've got a nice dry foot. There's very little moisture in there. It's not wet, it's not stinky. I can't smell this foot. So that's how the EquiPack goes in. Normally I would use a mesh material to help hold it, but we knew what was going to happen, so we just decided let's pour the pad, give it a couple of weeks to support this foot, see how it comes out. That's a nice consistent foot right there. I like the way that turned out. On the other foot, we've got CS, and what CS is, it's the same material as EquiPack, but we put copper sulfate in it to help with those control thrush underneath the pad. So that's why it has the green tint to it. That's the copper sulfate you're seeing in the pad material. Like I say, if you've got a thrushy foot that needs protection or needs support, this is the go-to material you would use. The neat part about these pads is we're doing away with that other product. We're doing away with that plastic or that leather pad. This is both. This is your packing material and your pad at the same time. So let's pull this one out. We got a lot better bond on this one. All I'm doing here is thinning that pad down to make it a little bit more flexible so we can hopefully get it out. That's the nice part about using the copper sulfate, is it kills all that bacteria on the bottom of the foot. We found out a couple of years ago from Dr. Gravely that the bacteria on the bottom of the foot, when we pour a pad on top of it, builds a gas and it pops those pads away from the foot. The copper sulfate will actually go in there and kill that bacteria so it can't build gas. So these actually bond better to the foot. Well, it came down to it, we couldn't pull this pad out like we did the other side, so I'm going to have to pull the shoe just to get the pad out. Now you can see how well that bonded. Look at the sole that pulled out after 2 weeks. Got a nice dry foot. Good solid foot underneath there. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. And you can see how flexible this pad is. So the foot's still functioning like it ought to. We've just added that layer of protection and support using these type of pads. So today we've gone over a lot of different protection products, shoes, pads. So like I said, get with your farrier, figure out what protection devices would be best for your horse to decide if your horse even needs shoes. So, thank you for watching. We'll see y'all next time.